You girls are back with part 2 of our What is Healing episode. We're going to pick right up from where we left off last week. Enjoy, and as always, let us know what you think.
Now you have heartbreaks. Now you don't trust.
Pastor Jerry Flowers says that you're now in recovery season after recovery season after recovery season over the same thing. Mind you, we're not growing. No, it's the same cycle. We keep recovering from the same thing.
And some of us don't even have recovery. That's what we're talking about. That other people don't have. Because if it happens that way, they're just like, okay, forget you. Next. And we have this thing where it's always like, especially when it comes to men, they're always like,
my cutoff game is strong.
Not even that, but they have this whole thing there are plenty of women.
Oh yeah.
So what you won't do, another woman will do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's always a thing. And if you're unhealed as a woman and you hear men telling you that, subconsciously you may not know this, but subconsciously it creates an insecurity in you.
Yep, because you feel like I'm
because
always
now
not safe.
No, you're not safe. And then now when a man tells you that what you won't do, another woman does. Now that's when we always have this culture. People are always asking, why is it women always talk down on each other?
Yeah.
Because when men do that, it's also igniting competition within women. And now when you walk in a room with women, you're not always on guard. Subconsciously, you're not on guard of every woman.
Yeah, because a woman might be doing better than me to take my spot in whatever place. For a spot that you shouldn't even have to fight.
And then now, when you let's say you break up with this person after he told you these things like what you won't do another woman would do, or other women will be able to do this and even better, or you're doing these things are not special because another woman does these things already, or another woman, like I've had, when a man continues to compare you to other women, and when you take him back, if you haven't healed and acknowledge these things or the painful stuff that was said or that you dealt with, subconsciously, now even when you get him back, you're going to have certain things, if they're not healed, that you will be doing. And now you're going out of character. Now, because you're, in a sense, you're going to try to prove something.
Right. So you want to maintain this almost it is a non-existent spot that you have to fight for, because there's always somebody wanting to take your space. So you're going to come out of character. You're going to come out of who you really are.
And now you're, even if you're a confident person, but now you'll be like, damn, like,
right,
what does he mean? Like somebody else will do this, because now you're looking at yourself like,
yeah.
So
I could literally
if you're
be replaced.
saying that I could be replaced, and if you like the person and you love the person, now you gotta prove a point so that you're not replaced. Now you have to fight for something that you shouldn't even have to fight for. But if you're somebody who's healed and you're somebody who knows your worth, and you're somebody who's matured and you know your journey, and you're spiritually mature, you're emotionally mature and intelligent, when someone says that to you, you can be able to look at your partner and be like, hey,
no, that's not something that should be mine to have to fight for in the first place.
Why are you even talking to me like that and telling me that? That's actually toxic. You can be able to say it out loud to the other person, like, that's toxic for you to compare me to someone, or that's toxic for you. You need, when you're,
like that,
because when you're not healed, you keep quiet. And once again, we're talking about that thing. When you're a child, you never had to express yourself,
right?
And certain things hurt you, but you still, when you're an adult, when somebody says that to you and you're not healed, you take it in, and then you'll be just fighting with it inside. You won't even be able to say it out loud, because you're even scared that if I call out that thing, then I'm going to lose this person who's already saying that other women are able to do this. Now they're going to leave me if I express myself.
You know what I just realized when you're saying that? That means that when you are the healed version of yourself, number one, you can recognize toxicity off the bat. Unhealed, you wouldn't even be able to tell that there's something wrong with this statement. So the healed version of you can, number one, recognize toxicity straight away, and number two, has enough mental and emotional strength to put a stop on it immediately. So that is really interesting to me, because it almost means like the healed version and the unhealed version, completely different ways of handling the same situation.
Yeah.
And if you don't want the same situation to keep happening, then you're going to realize that, wait, something must be wrong. I got to go back and fix it. And one of the things that I think people don't like is time and time
patience
alone.
Oh, guys, let me tell you, while I'm speaking this, I'm not saying I'm a professional. I'm speaking out of my own experiences.
Right.
I'm speaking out of what I have gone through. And I am still I am still learning a lot about myself. I'm still learning about healing. And I'm also learning about what I also brought into certain relationships that I also played a part in to make that relationship not work.
Good. Okay.
I'm also realizing my own faults. And it just happened. And one thing that also is important is dating someone who's honest with you. And one thing that I always used to cry about, like after my long relationship and I started dating, one thing that I always used to cry about was like, dang, why can't I find somebody who's just honest? I want honesty. And I used to pray about honesty a lot in relationships, with friendship and intimate relationships. I used to pray about that. Like, God, I just want somebody who's honest, like who's able to just let me know as it is. But one thing that I'm going to let you know, when you pray for a man or a friendship where there's honesty, be also asking God to help me to help me to have a heart that is going to accept the honesty that comes with it. Because I prayed for honesty, guys, and I got honesty. When I say I got honesty, I got honesty. I got a guy who was honest to a point even now, like, dang, ouch, ouch, and ouch.
My thing about the honesty, how do you know that this person is being honest from a good place? For example, if I can be like, I'm going to honestly tell you, and I'm like, listen, I feel like, your face is nasty. But that's coming from my toxic self. So in understanding that this person's honesty comes from a safe place, which for you and I as believers is that I got to know that your background, somewhere in your life, your background and where you come from is thoughts formulated from God, right? So in wanting somebody to be honest, we've also got to be careful about where that honesty is coming from, because honesty can be really painful, and we've both seen it. Painful. And honesty coming from a good background can also be painful. You just got to be making sure that it's coming from a right place.
Yeah, it has to be from a right place, and it has to come from a person, of course. Like, you have to build trust with that honesty. And even with that though, even if somebody has a spiritual background, you also have to be careful. Like, they can hear God, they can understand God and follow God's instruction. But sometimes if they're also not healed, the deliverance of that can still hurt.
Can hurt. Past what it's supposed to have been.
Yeah. And they can still follow instruction, but they can deliver that message in their own toxic. We're humans at the same time.
Yeah.
We can be used by God, but the way that we deliver certain things can still come with God's instruction, but delivered from an unhealed place. Wow. And for me, I've had my fair share of certain things, like honesty is real. But one thing that I appreciate that actually made me start realizing a lot of things, I had somebody who was really honest with me and who was able to highlight certain things. And mind you, when God sends someone to help you, and God sends someone to guide you a certain way, they're coming to confirm things that you already know about yourself.
I like that. It's not coming out of the blue or like, I've never heard that, never felt that, never sensed that in my entire life. Even if you've never said it out loud, you'll know deep down.
You will know. That's the part that we're saying.
Yeah,
you have to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to honesty, how you can start trusting, because it can be certain situations where someone can say something to you, and it can be an insecurity that yourself, or sometimes we know there's certain things that
we know
subconsciously, internally, there's certain things we know. And if somebody highlights that thing, you're able to know if it's coming from a good place or a bad place. And how you're able to know if it's coming from a good place, when somebody says it to you and it confirms something that you have already known about yourself. But having someone say it out loud to you
gives you
confirmation that this is something that you need to work on. Because God always sends people in different ways. It doesn't matter if you're deeply spiritual or if you're not spiritual. God still watches over our back in different ways. Because I know now that I'm as spiritual as I am, back then I wasn't that spiritual. And God did send people in different ways, in different situations, even certain relationships that I had. I had to go through those certain relationships for me to get here. And it took a lot of hurt. It took a lot of heartbreaks. It took me losing a lot of friends. But now as I look at it, these people, everybody in your life, there's a statement that said that people were there for a season, for a lifetime, all that. It's real. And sometimes what we do is we hold on to people that are just there for seasons, and we want to make them a lifetime partner, and then we end up dragging battles that are not ours because we're now holding on to certain situations we're supposed to let go and let God.
Exactly.
But we're humans. Once you find your home and you find your person, you're like, oh my God, like I don't want to lose this person. But then what ends up happening when we hold on to certain things?
Past this point,
it ends up adding other pain, other baggage we're not supposed to deal with.
So my understanding of this point where you get to where you're like, okay, I know some things have been happening. They've been cyclical in my life. Now I recognize that I need to heal. And in my thing of healing, or the time of healing that I need, I'm going to need honesty. And then I'm going to have to be honest with myself. My understanding of all of this sort of happening is we need to be able to give each other time. In between relationships, in between things happening, I think our generation especially needs to slow down. We find that very difficult to do because you cannot be able to tell what are these cyclical patterns if I don't slow down and I allow myself to be alone. For a lot of people, alone is a dirty word. It's like today's Memorial Day weekend, right? I should have a boo thing with me, or like Valentine's, whatever. Yeah. Or somebody asks us, who you're dating? It's like, I'm not dating anybody. We feel like alone is a dirty word. Alone just means separated. So you need to take that time in between to be able to study yourself, listen to yourself. So when somebody else is telling you the truth, like you've just said, you can recognize it because you've actually acknowledged it to yourself before you start jumping into all of these.
Because if you're not healed, or if you're not spiritually spiritually inclined, is that the word? Spiritually inclined, and you're not emotionally mature,
right?
When someone is honest with you and they're saying stuff that you know, if you're not healed and you don't have all of the stuff that I've mentioned, you're going to be triggered, and you're going to lash out on them. Even when you do that reaction where you lash out, after you're done with your lashing out and you're at your house by yourself, ask yourself why you lashed out. Why were you triggered?
Yeah.
Because if you're healed and somebody says, damn, you're a bitch. Sorry, I was supposed to say bird words.
It's okay. We're gonna go with
I don't know.
We're here.
But if somebody's supposed to say beep, if somebody says that and you're triggered, why are you triggered with that word?
Right.
Why does it trigger you? Because me personally, if somebody says that word to me, I'll respond like, damn, that's what you called me? But that word doesn't bother me because I know I'm not. So it doesn't bother me. If somebody says that to me, I'm like, dang, why would you say that? What made you feel comfortable for you to say that? That's what I might say.
And it can be just a respectful response of, you know what? It didn't bother me, but I'll just prefer if you don't have that language towards me.
And like, that's how
But I ain't mad about it.
Yeah, because that's how I've addressed people who's like, that have said that word to me. Because one thing, when I'm talking to people, like, I know I said this word because I was trying to give an example, but in general, I really don't cuss a lot. And people get that from me when I'm talking to them.
Right.
That's something you can attest. I don't say
not
bad
the girl
words.
That
But I also
say less she done.
But I also understand there are people who would do that. Like, there are men or girls who call females bitch. Like, I keep saying this word, but
it's okay.
It's also if you address it, you know you're not that person. Yeah. But instead of flashing out, you can just be like, hey.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
I'd appreciate it if you don't use that word because I'm not comfortable with it. And some people even know you that even when and some people will even say it, they'll even apologize and be like, hey girl, don't take offense with me saying this word. It's just a word that I use. They'll say it. And even when you know a person and they say that, you're able to be like, I know where it's coming from. Yeah. It's not coming from a place. Yeah, she uses it all the time. If there's me or another person, I've heard her, she says that. But if somebody, it's just an example, like if someone says something that triggers you to react, ask yourself why it triggered you. Right. Because you asking those questions will lead you to the root of what is unhealed.
Yeah. Yep. And that tracing part of it, the one that says, okay, wait a minute, something triggered me. What triggered me? Let me get down to where it is. And you'll find sometimes that when you think that I just don't like the word, if you ask the deeper question, why? That question is very deep. I don't like that word. Why? Well, I didn't like it when somebody said it to me at this point in my life. Okay, what was it about that point in your life that take it? That tracing process might feel painful and might almost seem redundant to this generation, but it is so key in finding out what is the root cause of all of these issues. And so now the more I've looked at what this is, the more I've realized that there's so much individual work that needs to be done by people before we get into these situations together.
For real. Relationships, guys.
Girl.
One thing that I'm realizing now is if you go in a relationship unhealed,
yep,
and you have your own trauma, and you meet another unhealed and they have their own trauma,
wow,
and we come together.
Wow.
Guys, by the time you leave the relationship, you're not only living with yours, you're also living with theirs.
Yep.
And now you have to, it's now,
mess.
You have to heal double. You have to heal what you already came with that was not a healed, and what you gained from that situation.
Yeah.
And why we keep talking about having that time in the process to heal and acknowledging what part you played in it, and recognizing things that triggered you, and really sitting with yourself. It's not easy, believe me. I know now. I understand. Now I actually understand why people don't like to be home by themselves.
Yeah,
I now understand why people go out and they drink and they do what they do and they're never
look
home
for distractions.
I understand it because I'm a living testimony of having to live. Like for me, it wasn't even a situation of, yes, I am a person who is always self-reflected. But right now I'm in a journey where I'm asking God for certain things in my life. And now it's no longer a situation of me willingly saying, I'm going to heal and I'm going at my own schedule. I'm in a journey where now I've been forced, either I like it or not. God has placed me in a situation where I cannot even run away. I cannot even find a distraction if I wanted a distraction. I can't.
And that's all because your taste has changed. The more you taste healing, the more you taste what it's like when the freedom comes, when you've discovered something and corrected that in your mind and corrected that in your past, you get a taste for healing. And now the taste of like, wait, if I can get that about this, what else in my life is it? And so now you don't even want to go back. And this is something that Hilda said to me earlier this week. She was like, I'm at a point right now where I am wrestling with God right now. Like, what is this process? What are we going through? But the truth is, she doesn't want to go back. She doesn't like the old version. And that hit hard so much for me because it's like once I'm at this point now, when I look back at the decisions I made because I was unhealed, the messes I got into because I was unhealed, and recognizing who that girl was, I don't want to be her anymore. So my taste has changed. My appetite started to change because now I start to realize, wait, that thing I was so comfortable, like we talked about, you can be comfortable with toxicity. I don't want it anymore. And so I don't like this place that I am. And this place is very painful because it's bringing up old memories. It's making me look at myself and the things that I don't like about myself. But I would prefer this pain than the pain of being that unhealed version of myself. Because that one, girl, she got me into trouble. I'm gonna tell you this. She got me into so much trouble that right now,
and that one also made me hurt people that I didn't want to hurt, and not intentionally. And that's the hard part. When you have to sit with yourself and you have to realize that you hurt people that you loved. Yeah. And you have to sit with yourself and be able to accept that you hurt somebody you loved. Yeah. And also accept the guilt that comes with that, and accept the shame that comes with that, and having to sit with yourself and be real with yourself and be like, oh my God, we have to take this L. Yep. We gotta admit that this one was me. Yeah. I played a part too. Yeah. And this one, yes, it wasn't just them by themselves. Yeah. I also played a part in doing this to this person. Yeah. And now when you start to realize those things, that's what she's saying. Like, you get to a point where you're like, no, like, even though I'm uncomfortable in this healing process, even though I'm uncomfortable with having to be real with myself, I definitely don't want to go back to how I was, because it's not that person that I was led me here. Yeah. And I never want to be in a situation where I do that again. I want to be better. I need to seek what has made me do that and what has made me overlook certain things. Yeah. And I need to be real with myself and be more aware. If it means I have to seek deeper, if it means I have to now go back to therapy more, if it means, and by mind you, like, therapy for me, I'm comfortably able to say that because I went through different phases of therapy. I had different therapists that worked for me in a season. You know, when I started, I was going through therapy to heal childhood. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's fully healed, but at least now I'm able to sit and I'm able to talk about it, and I'm able to name traumas. I'm able to name toxicity.
I can
identify now certain things why I acted the way that I acted. And then shifted, I had another therapist that I was working with, and this one was working with my current self, who I am at the moment. And yeah, we had, she was good. Like, she was good. She did her thing. But my last session with her, I remember, like, when I got off, I think I even talked to you, and I was like, I don't know if I was like, I didn't like the way that our session went. I felt like I was actually the therapist. Like, I literally was, I should have paid myself, because I was in there, and she was asking me questions, and I was responding to those questions, and even answering my own questions back to myself. And she was just there agreeing. And that's when I realized, oh, I feel like maybe that season was up. That season with this therapist is done. And I've actually now, as I've been sitting and talking to you as well, and sharing our things, I've realized that now I need to look for a specific type of therapist.
Yeah.
That is no longer here. When we've gone through that and I understand that type of therapy, I'll come back and we'll talk about that kind, because I am still learning about that kind of therapy that I'm going to. But that's what she was saying, like, as you're maturing, there's certain things that now you're seeking, and there's certain things that you don't want to go back to anymore. And even the people that you start dating and the people that you start getting along with, even friendships, you start to see that your friendships will start changing.
They'll start changing.
And one thing that happens with that too is there's certain friendships, like literally some friends you just start losing from nowhere.
Gone.
And you're under, what happened? Like, and it's God now shifting, and it's literally God now just being like, yep, now you've matured, time to go. And we keep shifting, we're evolving. And some of your friends, you even realize that as you're evolving and as you're healing, you actually start to realize that some of your friends are actually not comfortable
with where you're at,
with that healed version. They'll be looking at you and they're like, what the heck, you have changed.
And it's allowed.
It's allowed.
They can decide that I prefer the old version of you because that's where I'm at. I understood the things you said. I understood where you wanted to go. We had a lot of things in common. And if that changes, that's allowed. And it's actually part of the process. Not everybody can go with you to the next stage.
And sometimes you have to realize too, either it's friendships or relationships, you have to understand that some people benefited from your toxicity.
Girl.
And once you're healed, they start to realize that they no longer have, like, one thing that you have to understand, guys, there's some people that legit know the things that you need to heal, but they know that they're benefiting from it, that they don't even highlight it to you.
And they would rather have you in that state for their own benefit. Girl.
Once they realize that you're catching on to things and now you're calling them out on certain things, and they're like, oh crap,
I can't benefit from that anymore.
I can't no more.
The leech has to fall off.
Oh dang, now I gotta go. And then they said you start hearing somebody, hey, I can't be friends with you. Or sometimes you even realize you'll be the one who's now sitting in your own space, and you have to really be like, oh my God, this has been my dog. Like, legit, God, I don't want to lose this. This is the person that I love with everything that I have. But your own spirit and your own healed self won't even be able to deal with that, won't even be able to allow it anymore. And it's always a good thing. This is when you know if it's a friend for a season or a friend for a lifetime. If you're able to express yourself to someone and you're able to tell them what is no longer comfortable to you, and they're able to respect that, and
move with
you still end up staying together as friends, that's a friend you don't want to lose.
That is a real friend.
But if it's somebody that you express the new you, and they start acting funny and they start moving funny, you know where you stand. And some of this, especially for me, I'm one of those people, like, and I'm learning this, I hold on to friendships and relationships for too long. I do. And I'm one of those, like, I want to take you with me, especially if you've been in my life for a long time. I'm like, I don't want to leave you behind. Like, we've gone through like some crappy things together. I also want you to enjoy the healed version of me.
And especially when you've discovered the gems that are coming from the healed version, you want them to come with you too.
Yeah.
So you can see, like, you know, girl, that thing that I've been doing for 10 years, guess what? I figured something out. And you want them to come, but
and then you realize they don't. Like, they don't. And when you're not, it's so interesting. Everything, when you're not healed, you also realize the type of friendships that you have and you're surrounded with. And when you start realizing things about yourself, and you start healing, you start to realize how alone it might start to feel. You can be sitting with all these friends and you feel so alone. You feel like nobody actually understands you. You feel like nobody actually will ever relate to what you have to say. And for me, that's been my whole, from childhood to adulthood. I never used to fit in, but I used to make myself fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to fit into anything. I've been able to, and I'm one person who's not judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not judgmental. I accept people for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I let people be who they want to be. And I realized for a long time, I got to a point where I would just be like, maybe I'm just weird. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I just never.
Maybe I'm supposed to be.
Maybe
like
I'm
that.
supposed to be like that. Maybe because of my upbringing, because I didn't grow up like with a mother and father, and maybe that's why I just don't get some things. Maybe that's why I'm just weird. I actually started to accept certain things and just be like, okay, I'm the weird one. So I would just make myself fit in. And I would end up, that's what I was telling you, I would end up holding on to situations longer than I was supposed to. Not realizing that I have a calling on my life. Not realizing that certain things are happening because of a lot. You know, we'll get deeper into the spiritual aspect as well. Because healing is not only about self, and it also has to do with spiritual work and having to also realize that you're cold. And some of these things that you've gone through, the traumas you've experienced, is also they have other things, like the devil not wanting you to fulfill a calling. Like you know what I'm actually realizing? Healing is a lot. We have to talk about healing when it's just a normal healing, and then when it's spiritual healing.
And I think I've also realized while we're having this conversation, you guys are actually just joining kind of the way that we talk. And welcome to our world.
We jump a
But
lot.
I'm actually realizing that there is healing to do with the friendship aspect. There's healing to do with the spiritual aspect. There's healing to do with, there's so many aspects of the journey that we've been on. I think we're gonna have, I don't know how many parts of this we're gonna have. We're gonna have to break them down. But today we just wanted to give you like an overall thing. And
this is an overall. This, I guess we're giving them a highlight of different departments. We're going to talk about healing. Is healing about friends? Is healing to do with like spiritual? Is healing to do with, you know, intimate relationships?
The language of healing. Because there's a language of an unhealed person and the language of a healed person. We got to talk about that.
And then we have to talk about healing from your family.
There's so much in this topic, and we've been on this journey together for a while now. And you can hear it from us, right? But we're gonna break it down into all these different sections, and we can give you guys a lot. But if there's something that we've missed, or something that you want to ask us about, or clarification, or to go over, please just hit us with the comment.
Hit us with it.
And I'm going to be putting my social media and hers if I let her, because you know she's a bit of a private person. That's what I love about her.
Private.
And you can hit us with like a side DM and let us know what you want us to speak to most. But I feel like, as you guys can see, why we're so excited about this is because we're in the middle of this thing, and mind you, we're not experts at this, but we want to just share that in the moments where you feel like, oh, why am I even doing this? You're in good company and you're in the right direction. Okay, and hopefully if we can get more people on this healing journey, we're going to have less women caught up in heartbreaks, less men caught up in heartbreaks, and less children born into these situations.
I hope like this introduction that we've had, right? It will bring other people, like men or women, that can send us messages and be like, oh my God, I would like to talk about this. Yes. Because we want other people to join us on this, because right now it's me and her. But I know that there are other people who are either in the journey or they've gone through the journey. Yeah. And they're also able to come and tell us, and they're able to shine like light on certain things that we don't know. Because she knows me. I like to learn from other people. Yeah. I am somebody who's open with anybody because I want to learn. Because once I hear you speak, you never know, because it may be something that I'm already praying about or something that I have questions about, and you just come in and you shed a light. That's how we met. Like when we met, how we met and we talked, and it became like, oh my God, I'm not weird. Looking for a person who understands me.
That thing that she was saying, where you're like, you're always with people, but you feel like something's wrong with me. When we met, and we were meant to meet for like just a little, goodness, immediately, kind of like Mary and Elizabeth in the Bible, not like we're like the mother of Jesus, but like they said their babies leapt within each other, like they recognized each other. That's what it was like when I met Hilda. I was like, I found someone who doesn't think I'm psycho.
And so able to just be like, oh my God, yes.
Exactly. So that's what we kind of want to have with people who are in the same journey or in the same situation. Like, wait, there is more to this thing. Or if something just triggered and said, maybe this is an answer to why I keep doing this, just comment below and let us know. Let us know that we're not alone. And we're good being the two crazies out here. But if you're in the same boat with us,
if you're also like us, and you also want to go on this journey, or even if you're someone you don't even know, like, where you stand, but you just know that you want to heal, like, you know that you want to go on this journey of healing one way or the other, you just don't know which direction to go. Once again, we are not professionals. No, we are not.
Disclaimer:
this whole thing of healing is us just exchanging with each other, and also learning by watching different things. And like right now, one thing that I'll even tell you before we leave that I would say do is that my season that I'm in right now, I have a few preachers that I've listened to, but Jerry Flowers has been doing
the most.
He's literally changed my point of view in a lot of things.
If you have not checked him out, guys, find him.
Check him out. Look for him on Jerry Flowers on YouTube. And Mike Todd, you all know Mike Todd, but there's certain things that Mike Todd has changed my life in so many things. Stephen Furtick has done a number for me.
That's
Sarah Jakes.
We don't even need to talk about that. Sarah Jakes
always. She talks to me no matter what.
Yeah.
One day I hope I can even just become like even a third of what she is. I'm fine with it, because that woman is anointed. Yeah. But these are people that we have listened to. Yep. And I don't know if you have somebody else that you... and then there's Brittany Lee. She's on YouTube.
She's amazing. I love the work she does on healing. I think my only other one would be Stephanie Ike. She's a senior pastor at Pastor Sarah's church. Amazing. Guys, we binge watch this stuff.
We do.
Literally,
that's what we
binge
do.
watch.
That's our life. That's what we
Check
do.
those people out. I'm telling you, it's really opened our eyes to a lot of stuff. A lot of the things that we talk about. Like, girl, did you see this message? Wait, let me go watch this right now, because there's some stuff in there. So you need to... That's another part we need to talk about. The environment for healing. The things you feed yourself off of onto, and the things that you need to starve out of your life to get this.
And the people that you need to surround yourself when you're healing.
So much to do.
Because when you're healing, it's important who you surround yourself with, because you can start healing, but if you have distractions, you continue to have that thing that we're talking about, back and forth, or a wheel where you feel like, okay, I'm starting to heal, then somebody comes and pulls you out of it. Yeah. Or if somebody doesn't respect that, and also you having a voice, to be able to express it to your friends or to whoever and be like, hey,
this is where I'm
at right now, and I need your support. And that's what I'm saying. You have to have friends that you're able to speak to and be like, hey, this is a phase I'm going through right now in my life, and I need your support, because for now I don't think I want to go out. It's for a month, for 2 months. Tell them I don't want to go out, and I need your support. That even when I tell you that I want to go out,
I need you to
remind me of this moment, and be able to be real with me and be like, no, I'm holding you accountable because I'm supposed to hold you accountable, so you cannot go out. And have those friends that are even able to be like, okay, I understand that sometimes it's hard. Instead of you going out to the club, how about we go and have brunch? And then after brunch, we go home.
Girl, you see how much stuff there is to talk about, how much stuff we've learned, and we're still feeling like, girl, we're just at the beginning of this journey. So we want you guys to come with us. Let us know. We're going to be back really soon with the next installment of so many that we have coming up for you guys. But from us to you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know. And we're going to be back real soon with part 2 of however many parts this is going to be until we get where we need to get, which we never will, but
And always stay prayed up, continue to seek God, and continue to seek self, and continue to want to understand self and be able to express yourself. Know how to express boundaries. Know how to be comfortable with expressing feelings and emotions without having to explode.
That's it. So from the Butterfly Soldiers podcast, remember, guys, that if we can do it, so can you. And we're going to catch you on the next episode. Bye.